of Cards podcast, the show where we break down the art of creative real estate investing. Join us as we dive into the world of real estate with insider tips and tricks for making your investments go further. From buying with no money down to flipping properties for profit, we've got you covered. Plus, stay tuned for expert guest speakers who will share their knowledge and experience in this ever-changing market. So grab a seat and get ready to learn the secrets to success in real estate investing. And now, from Alaska to New York, your hosts, Chris James and Jesse Stanton.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Good morning and happy Saturday. Let's see if we can get Chris here. Chris, reporting in live from Alaska. How are you today, sir?
Good, man. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. I can see you. You look
God.
You look like you look like you're not in Florida. That is a puffy ass jacket, bro.
Yeah, I'm now looking at the camera. I look like fucking Beetlejuice. I'm sorry, I forgot. We about to go cancel tomorrow. This big ass jacket, 3 layers of clothes on. It's cold as hell out here, and more so, we got a real bad blizzard here. So, yeah, I'm on the thruway. I was supposed to be back home about 3 hours ago. 3 hours ago, and yeah, this is becoming almost a 10-hour day on the road.
Good golly, Miss Molly. And it is barely, well, I guess it's a little, 1:41 in the afternoon for you right now?
Yes, that is correct.
It's 1 in the afternoon. It's already turning into a 10-hour day. Dude, you sent me some pictures before we jumped in here, dude. I'm just looking at them right now. Dude, you got a blizzard, man. You look like you almost need some dog sleds or something to get through where you're going right now.
I probably would have got there much faster, to be honest, with the dog sled. And it's so funny the funny part about it more so, I got a heavy foot. I think everyone knows that. I like to get to my destination from A to B, just get right then and there. Why, just want to get there. And then today I was really struggling going 20 miles per hour. I was struggling, but I was okay. But part of me, I want to this is not the norm. If I'm not going above 70, something's wrong. But today was a good day. Today's a good day.
Dang, Manuel says it's 75 degrees and sunny in Phoenix. Dude, I'm going to be in Phoenix next week. I'm super excited. I have not seen any sunshine in my life for gosh dang, it's been a hot minute now. So, dude, I'm excited to get out and see something new other than 9 feet of snow, dude.
Yeah, good old Phoenix. I remember when we was there last year. No, maybe 2 years ago. You guys freak out for that.
2 years ago, bro.
You guys freak out for the littlest things. It was windy and everyone was freaking out. It was crazy. Everybody's you feel that? Do you see that? I'm like, go to New York. Go to these states where we get all 4 seasons in 1 week. This become normal.
Dude, I feel like you and I were talking earlier in the week. Was it? I think it was this week, and you were like, dude, it's like 50 degrees outside.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, man. Woo! Hot doggy. Well, dude, drive safe. I mean, if it's a 10-hour day for you, it's probably a 36-hour commute for the rest of us.
Most
drive
likely.
Safe, man.
Appreciate it.
Bob says it is 50 degrees in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Dude, I was in Fayetteville for a couple years ago for a friend's wedding, and it was amazing. I loved it. I went down there in November. So it was cold as hell here, but dude, November in Fayetteville was fantastic, brother. And actually, as a matter of fact, dude, I saw a bunch of wholesaling signs all around Fayetteville. People saying, "Hey, we buy houses, we buy houses." I was like, dude, this is awesome. This is actually seems like it might be a pretty bitchin' market, especially with the military community and stuff in there. Be a good area for some creative deals.
Valid point.
What's going on, guys? Well, cool. Well, guys, thank you very much for being here. This has been a very eventful week. This has been a phenomenal week. Chris and I actually did. When was it, Chris? You and I did a Zoom on Thursday. I think it was Thursday night, wasn't it?
Evening.
Thursday night.
Around 8
Dude,
o'clock.
for everybody who missed it, who was not there Thursday, what was your impression of how Thursday's Zoom went? What did everybody miss out on? Can you hear me?
You're going in and out.
We're having some technical difficulties out there. So for those of you guys who missed out, Chris and I did a Zoom on Thursday evening where we did it was a free coaching Zoom.
Yeah.
So we jumped in and we did some free coaching, and it was absolutely amazing. So I think it was last Sunday morning, I went to the gym, and while I was at the gym, I was getting ready to get on the Stairmaster. And guys, I hate cardio. Cardio is like a 4-letter word for me. Run is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It's bad enough I got to go work out by myself out here, let alone do some cardio. So, you know what? I went and got on the Stairmaster, and I thought, man, you know what would be really awesome? To maybe do some free coaching while I'm on the Stairmaster. That way I don't have to work out by myself. And we did, and it was awesome. I went and put a link out, and we had people jump in, spur of the moment, and man, we talked about a lot of different things, anything and everything from mindset to structure to avatars to negotiating with sellers and agents and what to say and what not to say and how to disqualify sellers and agents, how to get the agent and the seller on the phone together. It was awesome. It was so much fun. And I thought, man, you know what, Chris, you know what we should do? We should do another free coaching Zoom, but let's do it so everybody can plan.
Oh,
and so we ended up putting together a free coaching Zoom on Thursday, and it was amazing. It was phenomenal. We went for about 2.5 hours, and it was probably, Chris, I dare say, it was probably the most value-driven, free coaching call that we have ever done.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. I could not agree more.
It was absolutely amazing. And all I could think of, one of the things that I love about what Chris and I are doing is we're very cognizant of where we came from. And I think that's one of the hardest things to find is when you start getting around people that start getting some traction, getting some momentum, they start leveling up. It almost gets to a point to where it's like, man, I see other people making these moves, but I don't know how to do it. And a lot of the conversations that a lot of those individuals end up having are centered around where they are at that level. And although it's value driven, I feel like there's a lot of lack of clarity for the rest of us on how to get from where we are to that level. And so I love the fact that that's what Chris and I are very cognitive and intentional with, is always trying to get some traction and break that cycle of separating yourself from where you are in your W-2 or where you are right now in your life and in your business to getting to where it is you're trying to go. And so each time that Chris and I continue to level up, I love that that's the fact that when every time that we get to a different level, the information, the value we're handing to people behind us isn't necessarily just a step or two below. It's always relative to, hey, we're gonna give value to everybody who's a step or two below us, but at the same time, we're very cognizant and intentional with remembering where we were when we first started. And so being able to hold coaching calls like the one on Thursday that goes back to the very beginning is super neat. And man, it was such a lot of it was a lot of fun.
Couldn't agree more, man. Yeah, that was definitely very insightful. I learned a lot on that one as well. You know, although we were hosting it, I believe the information that they was actually giving us and where they're at, it's a true testament that more so specifically, you really don't know what no one in life is going through. Every single body in the world is going through something. You just don't know what it is. Whether it's financial, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's mental, everyone's going through something that you may not know. So trying to get that clarity is definitely key, especially going into real estate, because there's a lot of risks out there. If you're already dealing with your own, personal problems or obstacles, and then going to real estate dealing with those, that could be a huge bomb ready to explode.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, 100%, dude. And one thing that I look back at, Chris, were you ever somebody? I don't know that I've ever asked you this before, but I did a lot of reflecting on myself this morning, and I did a lot of reflecting on. I'm an individual that's very hungry to win. And as I was kind of doing some self-reflecting this morning, I was doing a little bit of journaling. I thought, man, when did this hunger come into play? I think that's one of the big things in my experience that separates people from the success that they're after versus the people that aren't. It is that hunger. It's that drive. Everybody says they want to achieve things, but they're not even willing to do the small things. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, throughout my journey, so that I can be able to look back and help again, right? Because it goes back to helping people that are, whether they're at the same level as us, a step or two below us, above us, or people who are just starting out. It's important to be able to have that perspective so you can relay that appropriately back to the people that are trying to learn and trying to grow. And as I'm sitting here reflecting on it, I don't ever remember a time where I wasn't driven or I wasn't hungry. I mean, even when I was, dude, I remember back as early as, when I was in sixth grade, dude. When I was in sixth grade, I was dating this girl. Her name was Whitney Brown. And her dad owned the ski hill that was just down the road from where I used to live. And dude, when I was in sixth grade, I used to be like, bro, like, I'm gonna marry this girl, and then I'm gonna inherit the ski hill, and this is gonna be amazing. It's gonna be awesome, and that's gonna be my life. And I remember Christmas of whatever year it was. I was in sixth grade. Whitney wanted a guitar for Christmas, and so I was like, man, okay, well, if she wants a guitar, I want a guitar. So that's how I ended up playing guitar, dude. It was because my girlfriend in sixth grade, who I was gonna marry, obviously I had it all figured out, got a guitar. And so that I ended up getting a guitar. I don't even think she got a guitar that year. I think she asked for one, but she didn't get one. Maybe she was on the naughty list, I guess. I don't know. But I ended up getting one. And dude, it was off to the races, bro. Like, as soon as I got a guitar, I spent all of my time practicing. I would come home, I would get off the bus, and it was literally like that song from Bryan Adams, Summer of '69. Played until my fingers bled. Was the summer of '69. Dude, like, that was me, dude. Like, I'd come home from school, dude, and I'd just fucking play, and I would play, and I would play, and I would play. And I was discovering new music, and I was listening to Ozzy Osbourne records and Metallica and Guns N' Roses and AC/DC and Van Halen. And then I'm learning to read music and tablature and all these things. And then I started listening to music and trying to listen to it and then replicate it and play it. And I started to build these skills. And as I'm looking back on it, dude, there was a lot of parallels between my ambition, my drive, and my focus, just putting the blinders on and learning guitar, and the same thing that I've done in my business. When I got off the bus, like, I wasn't worried about what anybody else was doing outside of, as soon as I got off school. Like, I could not wait to get off the bus and pick up my guitar, and I would just jam. And then my brother ended up getting drums, and so he and I would move our band out to the garage. And, dude, I remember one summer, dude, all my neighbors heard, because we'd open up the garage doors, we'd turn the amplifiers up. My brother had the drums, and do you know the song "Smoke on the Water," Chris? Chris might be in and out. So for the rest of you guys, let me know in the comments. You guys know the song "Smoke on the Water"? Dude, yes. Literally, just like Eddie and Alex Van Halen. You guys know the song "Smoke on the Water"? Like dun 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 dun.
Yes.
Dude, that was the first song that I learned on guitar, and I just played that song all summer long. And then I started getting into like heavy metal, and then it went from like a clean version, acoustic version, to like a heavy metal version, and it was just that riff over and 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 over again. And it was awesome, man. I've got video footage of me playing in the Battle of the Bands in 7th grade. I started learning Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath songs, like I said, AC/DC and Van Halen. And I was just so stinking obsessed with it. And we ended up going and winning the talent show in 7th grade, won it again in 8th grade. And then we started playing Battle of the Bands. We started doing all these things. And then when I left for the Air Force, when I was 18 years old, as soon as I got up to Alaska, after a few years, I think I was 20 when I got up to Alaska the first time. And then I turned 21 and started a band up here in Alaska. And dude, we got the right people together. And it was again, dude, I put the blinders on and I just had that obsession. I couldn't like not play music. Like it was always with the intent of wanting to tour and do bigger and better things. We used to play the bars here in Anchorage. And I remember after our first gig, it was like, all right, next stop, Madison Square Garden. We're going from Anchorage to Madison Square Garden. And that was always the drive. That was always the ambition. There was, our practices, and that's what I loved. There's so many parallels between having a band and having a business. And you can have the greatest like drummer in the world in your band. You can have the Neil Peart of drummers. But if that drummer is missing intermittently, he's missing gigs, he's not coming to band practice, dude, your band is not going to get very far. But if you have somebody else who maybe is not the greatest drummer in the world, but they have the mindset, they have the drive, they have the ambition, they operate on a no excuse mentality. Oh my goodness. That band will go extremely far. And I talked about this a little bit. I did a live in the Growth Coast Facebook group on, I think it was Thursday. Talked about putting yourself around the right people. I talked about how Chris and I met and how Chris and I were on each other's board of advisors before he and I got into business together. And one of the things that I absolutely love about mine and Chris's relationship is we operate at a win at all costs mentality. One of the things that I learned early on from Chris was how important it was to accept extreme accountability and responsibility. And what I mean by that is when I look back at other partnerships and stuff that I had before Chris and I got together, I look at why those relationships didn't work. I look at why those partnerships didn't work. Now I want you guys, as I'm illustrating this scenario to you guys, I want you guys to also reflect on where you are right now, your current partnership if you have one, or even maybe previous partnerships that you have been in. And as I reflect back on my previous partnerships before Chris and I got together, I'm reminded of where I fell short as a leader, as a friend, as a partner in those relationships. How many of you at a point in time in your business did you have something that needed to be done? Tasks that were supposed to happen. Maybe emails that were supposed to go out, people that were supposed to be reached out to, phone calls that were supposed to be made. And it didn't get done. Now, whether that was your responsibility or your partner's responsibility, I want you to think about that for a second. Because when I think about that, naturally, from my perspective, who do you think I'm thinking of? I'm not thinking of myself. I'm thinking of where my partner fell short. I'm thinking like, oh my gosh, like clearly, like if my partner was supposed to respond to this email, or my partner was supposed to reach out to this person, or make this phone call, or reach out to this title company, or reach out to this wholesaler, whatever it was. It's really easy from your perspective to look at previous partnerships, or even a partnership you're in right now, and look at it from that lens, from that selfish lens. No, not selfish as in you're trying to be, but just inherently, as humans, that's kind of how we're hardwired. That's kind of how we operate. It's really easy to look at something that is not working and point the finger and say it was their responsibility, even if it is their responsibility. One of the things I learned from Chris was, even if something is somebody else's responsibility, how can you look at that from the perspective? How can you look at that scenario from the perspective of it's your fault? Even if it's somebody else's fault, even if somebody else is supposed to respond to an email, as an example. Let's use something so easy, something that probably happens every single day. Your partner was supposed to respond to this email. They didn't respond to it. 30 days later, you got either a seller, you got a wholesaler, somebody else you're partnering with, a lender, somebody who's like, hey guys, I emailed you 4 weeks ago and still haven't heard back from you. How embarrassing. When you're in that scenario, how easy is it to look at your partner who is supposed to reply to that email and say, this was your responsibility. This email is even addressed to you. How easy is it to look at that person and say, we failed because of you? Winners don't make excuses. Winners accept full responsibility. Winners have a drive and a hunger and an obsession to win at all costs. And they accept that responsibility head on. If you see something that needs to get done in your business and you look at that scenario from the perspective of extreme accountability, and you look at it from the perspective of, even though my partner or somebody in my business was supposed to respond to that, that's my fault. What could you have done as a better leader? What could you have done as a better CEO? What could you have done as a better business partner, as a better friend, to ensure that that email got responded to accordingly? And when you look at things from that perspective, something really, really neat will begin to happen. Your standards will begin to increase. And not only your standards for responding to emails, your standards for everything. The way that you think isn't just tied to your ability to respond to emails. Your accountability will begin to increase in all facets, in all areas of your life. And that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Chris, when you look back at some of the things that you've gone through in different partnerships, and as you've evolved as a person, what are some of those things as you think back that has been very monumental in your growth, where you look back and you're like, oh wow, this was how I used to think, or this was how I used to operate, or this is even maybe some of the things that I used to tolerate. And then now, because of those experiences, you're like, I can no longer tolerate this type of stuff before. My standards have to increase. The way that I operate has to increase. What are some of those things that you've gone through?
One thing that stands out more so from the last partnerships, I'll be the first one to tell you. I'll be the first one to say, quick to blame someone versus actually taking accountability. And actually looking back, and as you just stated specifically, taking accountability for stuff, it's a big mind shift. And when I say a big mind shift, meaning a lot of people, let's be honest, you could go to someone right now and then give them a task. Tomorrow it doesn't get done. You could easily say, John Doe, why didn't this task get done? And to be honest, those kind of scenarios happen every single day in my last partnerships. Versus actually reflecting, putting pen to paper and say, okay, Chris, how can you actually reflect, not reflect, but more so change this from happening again? Was it a conversation? Was it a conversation, and or did you actually give them specific guidelines to what to do? Maybe they didn't have the clarity that they were looking for, and or they still were confused on what the objective was. You'd be shocked when you, in your mind, you think you gave them a specific task, and in your mind, it's clear as day, exactly what to do, what needs to get done. But in their perception, they are clueless, and or they're thinking a different direction. So sometimes communication is number one. I definitely reflected on that. Was just number one is communication. Two, trying an alternate solution. And sometimes the alternate solution becomes a problem. And even though you may know where the problem or obstacle lies, you got to reflect, is this something that you really want to take time to nurture, really develop and coach? And also go back to the beginning, where is there any alignment there? Did you guys set up to be honest, my last partnerships, we didn't set goals. We didn't set objectives. We didn't have any tasks. We thought we was going to jump all in. This is what we're going to do. And that's where everything blew up, because everyone was stepping on each other's toes. There was really no accountability. It was more so, I'm better than you mentality. So transparently, I had to separate myself from them.
How did you get the clarity on whether or not you needed to separate yourself from them, or whether or not you needed to say, hey guys, we're not doing any of these things, we need to be doing them? Or did that already happen? Was that already communicated and still wasn't happening? So then you decided to separate. Like what happened there? How did you come to that realization? Because I think there's so many people right now that are like, dude, I even had a conversation with a couple individuals this morning that are like, hey, I need to find a team. And it's like, well, what do you need? What do you need a team for? What specifically are you looking for in a team? What strengths? What characteristics? What types of specifics are you looking for? It's almost like if my wife were to send me to Walmart with a grocery list and say, hey, I need you to pick up stuff for dinner. But then I have no idea what exactly I'm picking up. I'm just going into Walmart and I'm just kind of like picking up a bunch of random shit, having no idea what my wife is actually planning on cooking for dinner. So how did you get that clarity? What did that look like for you to be able to make those pivots?
Well, the first thing was more so conversations. I definitely conversations, more so of a come to Jesus moment, or, I'm just going to call it uncomfortable conversation. It starts with an uncomfortable conversation. The second conversation, maybe they didn't understand. And then you get that gut feeling. It's hard to explain, but you really get that gut feeling. This is not where you need to be. And I knew I wanted more, but I felt like I was forcing something to happen that was not there. It's got to be a collective effort.
Yeah.
And just the conversation, man. When I had the conversation, and to be honest, even when I had the conversation, it was uncomfortable. It was super uncomfortable, because I was thinking of the what if factors. Like, I'm going to be doing this alone again. This is going to be a second partnership, and then I'm moving away. I just don't know. Is it me? What could I have done better? Okay, this situation happened. What are different resolutions that could have happened? Or was this meant to be? But I always was a firm believer that every single thing happens for a reason. And I realized I can't blame anyone else but myself. And more so, I knew I had big dreams, I had big goals, I had big ambitions, and not a single soul was going to stop that from happening. And if you ever feel like someone stopping you from your remove yourself. And when I say remove yourself, don't do it in like a disrespectful way. Like one day you're talking, the next day you're gone. But more so when I say, if you ever feel like someone's stopping your growth or what you're trying to do in life, just remove yourself politely. You know, do it in a professional manner, and find other individuals who's going to help you level up in the right direction and actually contribute, and not just contribute, but bring value and open up other opportunities for you, and vice versa. Find value you can bring to other people. And that's one thing I really reflected on, because once somebody, it might be the smallest sentence or statement or question that may be asked, stated during that conversation, that they don't realize is very, I don't want to say narrow-minded, but how do I say it in a nice way? Let's just say that they were just immature. The conversation was just immature. Let's just say that the conversation is very immature, and then more so realizing where they're trying to go and where I'm trying to go is two different directions. Everything sounds great. Everything feels great at the beginning when you're joining forces. But when you've seen people basically put their mouth with, Jesse, I just want to let you know, if I get pulled over, I'm going to give this phone right to the officer behind me. Just throwing that out there. I'm just throwing it out like, this is the reason why I'm getting pulled over. This
will make for a good reel.
I'm just throwing that out. He's literally behind me, but if he pulls me over, I'm just going to give him the phone. Like, this is the reason, officer. And I'm going to record the whole time. You guys are going to see everything, I promise you. Oh my God, this is really happening. The lights are not on yet, but till you turn the lights on, I'm going to continue with the story. So, but just guys remember, when you're going through those situations, you ever have a gut feeling? If you ever feel like someone's trying to tear you down to make their self look better, remove yourself real quick.
Give me an example.
Run. What was that?
I said, give me an example of that real quick. What do you mean? Because like you said, like when you said we're all headed in different directions, like I thought we were all headed in the same direction. I thought we were all trying to make money and take down properties. What does that mean? You're not headed in the same direction.
A perfect example is more so when someone's trying to tear you down, they just pretend. I'm gonna use myself as an example. This is not true, but just say for myself. If I'm bringing, if I'm partnering with people, I personally don't want to belittle what they're trying to do or implement within the business to try to make yourself feel good, meaning myself. So essentially, a perfect example is me as a CEO. I bring another partner with other individuals who's potentially going to be a partner within a company, but I only want them to stay at a specific level. I do not want them to go any further. I only want to stay right there. I don't want them to grow. They're good at what they do, and I don't want to see them progress. There's people out there that are like that.
Yeah,
they have to be the face. They have to do everything. They have to be the person that's like I. That's why transparently, a lot of conversations I have is we, because I didn't do this alone. I didn't start this company alone. I didn't get here to where I'm at today because of I. It's because of we. Perfect example. The transaction coordinating business. A lot of people say, Chris, I love your company. I love this. I love that. Phenomenal. But it's not just me that built that company. Yes, I may be the CEO of the company. Great. It looks great on paper. But the truth behind it, I didn't build that company alone. And the people that's within my company, perfect example is Angel Miller. Everyone knows Angel Miller. Stage name is Anchor Woman.
My stage name is Candy with a K.
Perfect example is when she came into the business. We had a long conversation, and I'm using Angel because I know she wouldn't mind me sharing this. She came into the business where more so, we had a long conversation, multiple Zooms, Zoom meetings, talking about exactly what she wanted to do, not within just the business, but also in her personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And she literally explained it to the T what it looks like, how she wanted to grow. She just didn't want to be a transaction coordinator. And I love that. I don't want nobody just to stop what they want to do. And I know for a fact she's going to do amazing things. She's going to do amazing things because, one, I'm not going to let her fail. Jesse's not going to let her fail. And the people around her, the small collective that she's around, we're not going to let her fail because we're going to hold her accountable based off the goals, the objectives, and the tasks she gave us. Now, this cop been behind me for almost 2 miles now and have not pulled the trigger. He's probably running the plates right now. It's clean, by the way. This truck is not stolen.
You gotta find out you subdued that car, man.
They go like, who name is on this vehicle? Like, but it's just little things like that. You really want to evaluate the people that you're around, and really start. Jesse talks about this all the time. You have to date before you really go into a business partnership. You don't know how people are going to act when things go wrong. You don't know how people are going to act when things go right. You have to see those checks and balances when those kind of things happen, because you don't know how people, you just don't know how people just based on one conversation. You may get a gut feeling. It's great to have a gut feeling, but you really got to see those actions. You got to see exactly what their tasks look like, and are they going to complete the task? Are they going to say they do it, or are they going to do it on their own time, and or are we going to meet the agenda that's ahead? So there's a lot of different things you got to take in consideration, and one thing I would never forget, and I understand everything happens for a reason, but accountability starts with you. And once you realize it starts with yourself, everything will start coming into play. That you'll start valuing yourself a lot more. You won't get into the rooms that where they're thinking too low. Meaning, you may say, "Oh, I went out to eat and went to spend $20 on a dinner," and they say, "Oh my God, must be nice." Absolutely, it's fucking phenomenal. Like those, like it's 20. I use the $20 as an example, but imagine like you're in rooms like you're $5,000 a dinner. Not saying you have to do that. Don't do that, guys. Please don't blow your money just to prove a point. But more so, just the example I'm using, just make sure you're around the right people. And if you are in a position, or if you're not in a position where you could go out for that specific dinner, get around the people who could. Let them know exactly what the situation, how they can help improve your situation, and more so, get in better rooms. I won't ever forget my first true eye opener within real estate is when I went to Cody Sperber. I was at a dinner with 8 other individuals: Cody Sperber, Cole Haddock, Jonathan Maxwell, and I forgot the other 5 individuals that I met. And this was my first mentorship, and being in that vicinity at that restaurant, and not mind you, like was already that private room was bought out and all this good stuff for about 3 hours. For us, to have a conversation with Cody Sperber, because he's in a mentorship. I bought the mastermind and all this other good stuff. But having those conversations was totally different. That was 4 or 5 years ago. That was one of the best informal conversations I ever had in my life. And I was 30? I'm 33 now. What's 33 minus 5? I should know this, right?
Something.
So, something.
Pretty sure you're in your 20s.
So my first introduction to real estate, that was my first real informative conversation ever. And when I left that conversation, I already knew going back home, I had to delete a lot of friends out of my life.
Really?
I'm having the wrong conversations.
Tell me how that was so different, dude. Because I'm sure, like, I'm just, as you're sitting here communicating this, I'm sitting here thinking about like what my experience was the first time I got into something like that, and what my thoughts were leaving it. And you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching this now and will be watching this in the future that maybe haven't been in any of those rooms yet, and maybe they don't realize the importance of the transformation that can happen from being intentional with getting in one of those rooms. But what were some of the things, specifics that you guys talked about? Like even just one or two things that was like that let you know leaving and heading back to New York that shit had to change.
Okay, I'm gonna say money. Money was a key factor of the realization that if you really want to go after it and achieve it, you can. And the second thing was more so the type of conversation. When I say type of conversation, you're talking about how you can make money. And when I say how you can make money, before real estate, in my family, my friends, my group, you really didn't talk about money. Money was a big secret, huge secret. You don't talk about that kind of stuff, and more so like making $40,000 a year was amazing, $50,000 a year. But being at a table individuals who's making faithfully 6-7 figures a month, and you think to yourself, damn. It was a gut check. I'm just gonna be honest, Jesse. Well, it was a soup. I feel like somebody really like hit me. Like it was a gut check where specifically you think about it. At that time, I knew it was in my bank account. And to be honest, I knew I couldn't afford that dinner at the time. I could not afford that dinner. But everyone around this table is smiling. Everyone's happy. Everyone's having a great time. And not thinking if they can afford to pay for this bill. And versus before then, I had to think about that kind of stuff. Oh, let me see the price. I want this. I really want this strip Alfredo over here. That's about $62, but I only got about $40 in my account. Can I, let me try to get something else.
Yep.
And it was a true wake-up call. And ever since I left there, man, I just wanted to go all in. I really wanted to go all in, and I did. I just didn't want to look back, and I removed myself from certain individuals. I stopped going out as much. A lot of people like to go out every day. A lot of people like to go out every weekend and have a party, like to go out of town, have a party. Great, phenomenal. Do it up. I love it. Love it for you. But I'm not going to make money going out every single day, every single weekend, to clubs, bars. It's not my motto anymore. A couple years ago in college, I'll be a go-to guy. Let's go. But like, forget that homework, forget that test. We do it later, kind of thing. But no, responsibilities came, and more so, I don't regret anything that happened in life. I do think everything happens for a reason. I know I say that a lot, but I'm a firm believer that God has a plan for each one of us. And sitting at that table, sitting at a table with Cody Sperber and everyone there, I kid you not, it was like a gut check where I know I'm going to do this. It wasn't when, I'm going to do this. Like, it's going to be effective immediately. Effective immediately. Hope that answered your question.
Oh, dude, no, that was perfect, man. That was perfect. I think that was awesome. I remember, dude, even the mastermind that you and I went to, dude, I remember sitting in that mastermind and just looking around at everybody else and thinking, man, like, how the hell did I get here? Like, I feel like I'm so unworthy to be in this mastermind right now, surrounded by all these people. And, man, I was just a student. I remember, dude, you were one of you and then the other guys that we ended up forming that board of advisors with. You guys were like the only people that I ended up talking to, because I was so engulfed in just trying to take everything in, just trying to suck in every little bit of wisdom and stuff that I could in that room, and just be a student. And it was so transformational for me, man. It really set the pace coming out of that mastermind, and just in terms of mindset and what's possible. I mean, I know that there was so much that happened over the course of those 3 days. And I love the story that you tell, dude, with Cody Barton and him calling you out. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm not over here buying properties. I've got 7 other properties I'm wholesaling in an escrow right now, but I'm not buying any properties because I don't have the money or the means or the network or the connections or the know-how to be able to buy these properties. And Cody said to you, what did he say? He's like, Nina, stand up, and then this person stand up, and this person. He called out like 3 people, three people, and in those 3 people, it's like, oh my gosh, there was literally $500,000 just sitting within 4 feet of where I was sitting, and I'm sitting here freaking wholesaling because I don't think I have the means or the ability to go in and take these things down, dude. It just so transformational. I could only imagine what that initial dinner was like with Cody Sperber. And just how it really set the pace moving forward coming out of that. Because I'm just, as you're articulating it, I'm just sitting here thinking like how I grew up the same way. Like money was treated like the F word, dude. In my house, it was like we don't say the F word. We don't. Not only do we not say the F word, we don't cuss at all. We don't say any swear words, and we sure as hell do not ask how much money somebody's making. We don't ask how to make more money. We don't talk about that stuff. And it's so interesting looking at it from that perspective because everybody was so quick to want to do things and to go and take the family on vacations. But it's like, dude, we can't afford it. We can't even afford this kind of cereal. We've got to purchase great value stuff. We can't afford Jif. We've got to get great value peanut butter.
Right. Yep.
And it was the craziest experience for me to see this side of the road versus how I was raised and how I was taught to think about money. It was just so scarcity minded. It was something that everybody wanted, but nobody wanted to talk about how to do more. And when you want more, when you want to make more money, when you want to get better at whatever it is that you're doing, guess what you have to freaking talk about? Guess what the conversations have to be about? When you look at like people like Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, they weren't spending all of their off time talking about tennis. They weren't talking about the latest, Marvel movie that came out. Well, this is back in the 90s and 2000s, so probably not Marvel. But you see the point that I'm making here is literally every second of their day was spent around trying to figure out how to win, and not only how to win, but how to hold themselves accountable and to standards that'll produce a much higher result, a much higher game. And yeah, they held their teammates to a higher standard. And if you ever watch The Last Dance, people hated Michael Jordan for it. People thought he was a dick. But as they've grown, as they've gained perspective and been able to look back, they're like, oh my gosh. Like me being able to see now what he was trying to do, he was a hell of a teammate. And you need those people. You talked about accountability, Chris. You need those people that are willing to call you out. There are so many people that just get offended and just want to be told, "Hey, but what am I doing right? Like, can you give me some good stuff here?" It's like, "Hey, what are we trying to do? What are we trying to accomplish?" There's got to be that accountability factor there. There's got to be the willingness to grow and to be uncomfortable. I mean, it's just as uncomfortable giving feedback sometimes, depending on what it is, as it is, to receive it. But if we're both going into this conversation with the right mindset, with the right intentions to achieve a very specific result, there should be nothing but abundance and love and all these things. And so that was one of the big things that I've learned about being on this side of the road versus how I grew up. Thinking about money and accountability, conversations and comfortability, all that stuff, man. It's nothing but I would much rather be on this side of the road, man.
100%.
I love that, dude. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thank you, man.
Devin said it best. He said, dude, you have to invest in yourself.
Absolutely. I was scared to do that. I'm like, this is all I have to invest.
Dude, the very first mentorship I ever paid for, dude, was $23,000. And I didn't even have 23 grand, dude. I was in the military. I maxed out 2 credit cards to do it. It was the scariest thing in the world. But you get so many people, dude, that and this was me, you know. This was me too. But I'm so glad that I chose to bet on myself. Because a lot of people are like, well, what am I going to get with that 23 grand? It's like, well, what do you want to get? What do you want to get out of this experience? What are you going into this with? And when you have a different perspective, when you have a shifted perspective, no matter what level you're at, when you can go into something with intention and extreme accountability, those 2 things alone will literally change everything about the results that you're after. Devin said, had the same feeling being at Pace's Golden Ticket event. Felt like low man on the totem pole, but it was amazing. Still trying to wrap my head around it. Dude, aren't those things amazing? Being able to go in and be around people of that caliber and people that share in that same abundance mindset. And it's like, hey, what are you trying to do? How much money are you trying to make? How can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I be a foundation for you? How can I help lift you up? It's like, oh my gosh, this is all I had to do was to make more money, was just to be more open about it and go find other people to talk to about it. Because that's this side of the road, dude. And you're surrounded by other people that are sharing in that abundance mindset and just want to grow and do things together, man. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so much easier, dude. It's so much easier, Chris, being on this side of the road than it was trying to work my ass off in the military. Oh, dude, I used to sell my soul to the military, bro. They're like, hey, if you sign up now for another 6 years, we'll cut you a check for $20,000. That's before we tax 30% of it. So really, you get to walk away with 13 grand. And it's like, oh my gosh, yes. Where do I sign?
Right. Yeah. Oh,
being on this side of the road is such a different pace, man. I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful for you, Chris. This has been just an amazing opportunity, man. I'm really looking forward to what the rest of this year has in store for us, man. And for everybody else, we're so grateful for the opportunity to be here with you guys as well. Thank you for being part of this and giving us some of your guys' time today. Haley says, can you negotiate with the military on the sign-up bonus? No, you can't negotiate with the military.
That is hilarious. That'd be pretty neat, though.
Facebook user says, I'm excited for that feeling. Squat Up Summit in Orlando. Who's going? Chris, aren't you going to that?
I will be there.
Well, if you have weather like you did today, just make sure you've got the sled dogs lined up.
Yeah.
Probably get there a little bit fast.
Luke said, I think that says Luke. I can't really see the comments, but I think that says Luke said he's going.
Luke's going. Hell yeah. Says, let's meet up there. Dude, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, 100%, man. 100%.
I love that. Well, I'm gonna be in Phoenix, guys, next week. I'll be in Phoenix next Friday. I'm getting in on Friday. So if there's any of you guys that's in Phoenix right now, or if you're going to be in Phoenix, shoot me a text. Let me know. I would love to meet up with you guys. I texted somebody this morning. I don't remember who it was. Who was it? Oh, it was I think it was Logan Bowers.
Oh, amazing guy.
He said he's going to be in Phoenix, and I said, great. Let's meet up. It's been, I can't tell you the last time that I saw a human being in person. So I'm super excited to get out, man. And we'll probably hop on a dog sled, maybe tomorrow, Monday morning, maybe, to start our venture outside of Alaska. So I'm pretty excited. Francisco says, dude, you're going to be here. Awesome. Guys, I think we're going to do like maybe a big dinner or something like that on Friday night. So would love for you guys to be there. Let me know. Let me know if you guys are going to be there. Would love to get together. Chris, I guess you probably aren't going to be home in the next 25 minutes, yeah?
I wish. I wish.
Well, at least you didn't get pulled over. That's good.
Funny part about it, I think it's because of the traffic. Like, he's really behind me. But if he wasn't, I'll be going about 80 right now. I'm not gonna.
Is he still behind you right now?
Yeah, he can't get past this. There's like a bunch of 18-wheelers on the right side of us. So it's not gonna happen.
Well, drive safe, brother.
Appreciate it.
If you guys are in sub 2, Chris and I have another Zoom in about 25 minutes called Friends with Benefits. It's not a dating service, contrary to popular belief. I actually, maybe we ought to, I love the Zoom name. I love the play on words here, but at the same time, I can't tell you how many comments I've seen where people are like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I legit thought it was a dating service.
We should make an app, like, like Tinder and all that good stuff. We should make a Friends with Benefits app.
For real estate investors. Oh my gosh.
And pad it. Get it. No, let me stop. I'm just thinking. See, the CEO thinking right now. We could really. Well, that'd be a pretty neat app, actually. Friends with Benefits. That's a good ass name. That was a good one.
That's
Justin.
what I'm saying. I think it is too. I think it is too. Devin says he'll be there. Dude, be on it, bro. Be on it. So the reason it's called Friends with Benefits, it's all about understanding and knowing your avatar. So if let's say Chris and I weren't business partners, okay? But we're friends. The benefit of us being friends is understanding our individual avatars, so we can leverage those benefits of being able to leverage each other in that relationship. So if I'm a closer and I'm closing up all these properties, but I don't know paperwork, I can leverage Chris's avatar of a TC, and boom, now we're making money. Now I don't need to do any of these things. So again, I like to relate everything to Walmart just because, I don't know, maybe that's how I grew up. Just I was a Walmart kid. I was conceived in Walmart. I was born in Walmart. They know me when I walk into Walmart. They say, Mr. Stanton, we have the cot set up for you in the back. You know, if you want to kick it, hang out for a little bit, feel free. We'll have the hangover on in a few hours. So we have a good time at Walmart. But I always like to relate everything to Walmart. But this Friends with Benefits Zoom is almost like when you walk into Walmart, you have different sections in Walmart, right? We've got the bakery, and then you've got like the frozen food section in the back. And then we've got the kids' clothes, then we've got the adults' clothes, the men's, the women's side. Then we've got the technology, and we've got books in the back. Then we've got the toy section, and then we've got automotive and pet stuff, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we've got the pharmacy up front. So think of your business as if you were walking into Walmart. And with us talking about, you know, being around people who want to win, who share that same mentality. What if you could go into Walmart and say, okay, I need 2 acquisition specialists. So you're writing down your to-do list. You're writing down your shopping list, okay? Okay, 2 acquisition specialists, got it. Okay, now I'm going to need an integrator to help put all these systems and automations and things into play to help the business run a little bit smoother. Need to get, that some support and structure on the back end. Okay, and then I'm going to need 1 each connector or capital raiser. And then guess what? Then you come to this Zoom, Friends with Benefits, and that's the benefit, guys. We're all friends in this community. The benefit being able to leverage each other's avatar. So then instead of just hopping on random Zooms or phone calls with people who email you or shoot you a DM and say, hey, we need to connect, you can be a little bit more intentional. You have clarity. And you can say, actually, you know what? I've only got so much time. I would love to hop on a call, but at the same time, I have to protect my time for what it is that I'm trying to do so I can make sure that I move my business forward. So if you only have time to talk to 2 people that day, and you know that you need 2 acquisition specialists, a capital raiser, and an integrator, then it's probably not the best and highest use of your time. to continue jumping on with anybody and everybody. So we hold these Zooms to help give everybody clarity on these types of things, so they can come in and, again, almost like a honey-do list or a shopping list. Like, okay, today I need to make sure that as I'm jumping into this Zoom, that I am only communicating, or I'm only giving out my Calendly to people who are acquisition specialists, so I can make sure that I get the two on board on my team that are in alignment with my goals, my accountability, and the standard that I'm holding for myself. So that's what that is, guys. So if you guys are in sub 2 and want to come in on that, we'll be doing that in about 20 minutes. I'll give Chris a little bit of time to get around those 18-wheelers and kind of evade that the popo a little bit. I'm glad you didn't get pulled over, but it would have made for a good reel nonetheless.
Oh, I would have kept recording. Like, Jesse, don't turn it off. Don't turn it off. Just turn the phone. I would turn the phone. Like, officer, just speaking to the mic, please.
Love it, guys. Well, we will see you guys in about 20 minutes then. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your weekend. As always, if there's anything that Chris or I can do for you guys, please let us know. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Thanks for listening to the House of Cards podcast with Chris James and Jesse Stanton. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and have learned something new about real estate investing. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram for more tips and tricks. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Until next time.